My friends, there's one extremely important technical detail that almost all beginner and especially also self-taught guitar players ignore when it comes to playing and practicing guitar, and it concerns this area of your picking arm. Because when we think about picking technique, we always think about the pick grip, of course. Are you picking with an open or a closed hand? Is the wrist positioned on the bridge like this, or is it floating, and so on? But what nobody really thinks about or talks about is what happens with the rest of your picking arm. Is your forearm, so this section right here of your arm, resting on the guitar like this? Or should it be disconnected from the guitar like that? This is something I've been experimenting with more recently. One rule when it comes to my picking technique, and in 99% of cases that still applies, is that the palm of my picking hand is placed on the bridge like this. So the palm is never floating, it's always resting on the bridge like this. So when I'm playing through scales like this, this area of my picking hand, so the palm is placed on the bridge and I'm following the strings like this. But what happens when you have to turn your wrist for very advanced picking patterns? For example, when you just have a couple of strokes on one string, then one stroke on the next, where you have to skip between the strings and so on. For tricky patterns like this, I constantly have to change the picking angle a little bit in order to play them. And what I recently found is that if I disconnect from the guitar a little bit with my forearm, it gives me more range of movement when it comes to my wrist. So when my forearm is glued to the guitar like this and I play a tricky string transitioning pattern, it can be a little bit difficult to get the necessary range of motion out of my wrist when I have to navigate in between the strings that quickly. But if I just slightly lift it a little bit like that, I feel like even with a very tricky string transitioning pattern like this, I'm still in control because the palm is still connected to the bridge. But by not being so glued with my entire arm to the guitar, I have a bit more movement. And I want you to try this as well. Check out today's first exercise performed at a slow tempo and how I need my wrist to freely navigate in between the strings in order to play it. And now let's check out this exercise performed at a faster tempo. Once again, I'm lifting my forearm just a little bit. Check out how that loose wrist approach helps me with playing this very tricky phrase at a quite fast tempo. So that's just the foundation, the very first exercise we're looking at today. So you need to escape from in between the strings with that upstroke like this, and then play the downstroke like that, and that's pretty tricky. And once again, if your arm is completely glued to the guitar like this and you're cramping up a little bit, it might be hard to rotate your wrist in order to get that movement. So try lifting it just a little bit in order to get that string skipping movement right. You want it to sound like this. So no string noise. I'm not grazing the other strings, I'm only attacking the string that I want to play on. And if you watch closely, you can see a bit of a rotating movement with my wrist in order to play this very tricky exercise. And of course, when I play it very fast, it's a bit of a minimal movement. Alright, and for the second exercise, you will want to extend the workout a bit so that you don't just play these short bursts. So let's move it down the neck a little bit to make the stretching a little bit more difficult as well. Let me show you the second step when it comes to unlocking your wrist for those faster tempos with that slight disconnected forearm placement for the perfect loose wrist picking technique. So for this one, I'm forcing myself to go back after that tricky section where you have that upstroke on the G string, downstroke, and upstroke on the B string. When I play this faster, I can really feel it in my wrist, so it will be impossible for you to play this one controlled if you're picking like this and your wrist is stiff and kind of locked up. So that's one of the best workouts ever to get your wrist to work at very fast tempos for controlled and fast wrist picking. So as you can see, I'm disconnecting a little bit from the guitar like this. I'm not playing this exercise like that, so that's way too over-exaggerated. I'm just moving my forearm like this, which allows me to end up with more range of motion with my wrist for those tricky transitions. Now the next important step for you is to test yourself right now. Try to play this exercise together with me now at 100 beats per minute, playing 16th note triplets, because this exercise is the perfect way of testing if you already activated and unlocked your wrist. So let's try to do this together now. The goal is playing this one fast and clean at 100 beats per minute with 16th note triplets. Alright my friends, so if you gave this exercise a try a couple of times and you're always getting stuck in between the strings and it sounds really messy, something like this maybe, that's a sign that your wrist is not fully unlocked and that you're not in control of what you're doing with your picking hand. So even if you apply this extremely helpful trick that I showed you of disconnecting from the guitar a little bit and you still get stuck between the strings and you can't play this one at 100 beats per minute with a pure wrist movement, you have a lot of work to do because that is just the baseline. And once you cross this one, you will be able to play absolutely everything you want with alternate picking, because this loose wrist picking is exactly what unlocks every single alternate picking phrase you ever dreamed about playing. So you just have to get this under control and it will open up a completely new world for you. So to help you with this as much as I can, we can't really talk about all the things you have to do in this quick YouTube video. I put together my new course package called the Loose Wrist Method just for you. This one does not consist of hours and hours of instructional material. No one has time for that. It's a zero fluff exercise and full workout routine bundle built around the most important daily exercises you absolutely have to practice in order to get your wrist unlocked and your picking extremely fast, clean and controlled. You will learn the 3-step method of unlocking your wrist with exercises, and then at the end there's a full daily 5-minute workout that only consists out of the absolute best and most helpful exercises. So you just have to do this one 5 minutes a day and you will see huge improvements with your picking in just 1 week. So let's get to work on this together right now. Here's a quick preview of the full workout. So we're starting really slow at the foundation and work our way up the BPM ladder. Please allow me to help you with finally solving this annoying, very common technical frustration amongst self-taught guitar players. The grass is much greener on the other side. So let's get started right now. Click the link right down there in the description or in the first comment. I'm waiting for you over there.